Hi, my name's Clarence Mon. Just wanted to go over my PowerPoint I made for this class. This was the intro to criminal investigations. I'm actually very interested into this field due to my background in law enforcement, and very much look forward to eventually using the stuff that I learned here to help me in my job. Anyway, we were going over crime scene investigation and what it is. Crime scene investigation is the science used in determining facts during legal proceedings and criminal investigations. That can be anything they use on a crime scene to determine, the evidence found that can be used in court. Then we went over the scientific method, which is a method of procedure that has characterized natural science since the 17th century, consists of systematic observation, measurement, and experiment and formulation testing with the modification of hypothesis. This can be a crime scene investigator coming up with or determining what they think happened on the scene. One of the most important people to arrive on a crime scene is going to be your first responder. That could be the initial officer, deputy, law enforcement officer that arrives on the scene first. And their most important job is to secure the scene and try to keep prevent from any change that happens on the scene and any contamination getting in. Now, I mean, when it comes to first responder, if there's a person on the scene that's still alive, it's going to be life over limb first. So, I mean, if you have firefighters, paramedics there, they're going to be allowed to come into the scene, but you're going to want to kind of prevent them from destroying the scene as much as possible. Different evidence that you're going to find at the crime scene is going to be fingerprint evidence, which is imprints left from a person's hand. Trace evidence, which can be anything from hair fibers to glass on the ground, soil that's found. Biological evidence, which can be blood, semen, saliva, hair, sweat, teeth, bones, anything that can come off of the body, or possibly an animal that could be involved, like animal hair or animal saliva. Also, you're going to look for types of impression evidence, which are going to be your fingerprints, footprints, tire tracks, impressions left on ballistics that you could find, like the shells from a fired firearm, and so on. Ballistics is another thing I'm going to get into. Ballistics and firearms evidence is going to be the comparison of bullets to bullets found at the crime scene that can be linked back to a specific firearm, which if the firearm was used and been able to recover from the scene, you could compare by firing another bullet in a controlled environment and comparing the striations or the marks left on the bullet to compare them to prove that that gun was actually used, because the striations left are a lot like fingerprints on a person. They can be linked back to that specific gun. You could also, if you have a suspect, test their hands with for GSR, gunshot residue on their hands, and see if they have any there, and it could prove whether or not they actually fired the gun or not. Causes of death, the main ones that you have in that are accidental, homicide. You have different ailments that can happen, diseases, such and so on. That's your causes of death. Now, manners of death are going to be what actually happens that the medical examiner or coroner is going to tell you what actually happened. If it was a natural death, a homicide, couldn't be determined, was accidental, and so on and so forth. These are going to be the things that can determine what actually happened at the scene. Again, I really enjoyed this class, and I look forward to possibly having you as an instructor later on. Thank you, sir.